Now that Paladin and Druid is out of the way, we can look at the glossary stuff. Welcome to Pack Tactics, where everyone has heroic advantage. Speaking of which, this used to be called Heroic Inspiration. Now it's got a new name, and you also no longer get it just for rolling dice, which is really good. I also prefer that. Epic boon feats, I'm gonna be really quick about it. I don't think they're very epic. I still think they need to work on it. Next, telepathy. It's almost the same, except that it no longer stops working when magic stops working. Telepathy was originally in the monster manual. Now they're moving it to the player's handbook. This makes way more sense. I'm very happy with this. The difficult terrain also got changed slightly. Allies no longer count as difficult terrain. Again, pretty good change. I do hope they look at the section again though, because as written, you can put one ice cube in a space and it immediately counts as difficult terrain, which sounds a bit dumb. Weapon rules got changed again, and sadly they forgot to mention all the changes in their change log. Anyways, the light weapon property no longer requires you to be holding a weapon in your other hand when making an attack. It just has to be a different weapon. This is great, as you can now dual wield ranged ammo weapons again. You can now attack with weapon number 1 on all your attacks, up to including your second to last attack. After this attack, you unequip weapon number 1 before your final attack. You equip weapon number 2 and attack from there. Next turn, you repeat the process with weapon number 1 being number 2, and vice versa. The equipping weapon section has also changed a bit. Dropping a weapon now counts as unequipping a weapon. Now, movement. A lot of the new rules have been removed again, which I guess means we are using the older rules for that. I'm fine with that. I do think dashing in 5e is a bit cursed, rules as written, so hopefully they look at that once more. They also changed flight. You now drop to the ground if you're prone and have a fly speed, even if it's magical. That means Twilight Clerics can no longer lay in the air. You guys really hated that short for some reason. Anyways, moving creatures that you've got grappled no longer gives people advantage to attack you. Also, escaping is no longer easier. It is once again a check instead of a saving throw for the grappled target. Good changes. Another entry that was removed is a hidden condition. You now gain the invisible condition when you hide successfully instead. I did hope they would catch one of the problems in the hide condition in the last iteration, but let me talk about it now. Currently, the hide action has the restriction, you must be out of any visible enemy's line of sight. I don't know if you guys have ever been like a kid before, but I sure have. And as a kid, you think that people cannot see you if you close your eyes. That is what this restriction feels like, but it actually works. If you cannot see the enemy, it is somehow less restrictive. Another thing is that I cannot tell if being in the open after rolling the check means you are immediately found or not. I think another iteration is really needed. Now for the meaty elements for this video. I've talked about most spell changes, but Spirited Dying is one that remains. For that, we need to talk about the new rules regarding dying. Now, when a player character drops to 0 hit points, that character has the dying condition. Quote, while dying, you experience the following effects. 0 hit points. You have 0 hit points. If you regain any hit points while dying, this condition ends on you. Knocked out. You have the unconscious condition. Previously, the undying condition didn't exist at all. When hitting 0 hit points, you became unconscious, and when you regain hit points, you were no longer unconscious. While you have the dying condition, you make death saving throws, basically the same way it worked previously. But the way 3 successes work is a bit different now. 3 successes. On a 3rd success, you regain 1 hit point. This condition ends on you as normal, but you are still unconscious and start a short rest. You remain unconscious until you regain any hit points or until another creature uses an action to administer first aid to you, which requires a successful DC 10 Wisdom Medicine check. This is an exception. Usually regaining hit points makes you get on your feet, but not when you get 3 successes. The way death saving throw works now, healing creatures that have been knocked unconscious have been buffed. And medicine checks received a side grade. Previously, a medicine check could stabilize a creature at 0 hit points, but this would keep them unconscious, which was a bit sad. Now, as they are at 1 hit points and no longer unconscious, they can go fight again. It does take at least 3 turns until you could do this though, and they can die during the time they are unconscious, so I wouldn't necessarily call this a buff. The unconscious condition is basically the same as it used to be, but some elements have been moved to the incapacitated condition, which you get when you are unconscious. Nothing special. Knocking a creature is very similar to how it used to work, but instead of them being stable, they regain hit points through taking a short rest, or are aided using a medicine check. I personally have no issue here. I do wish they defined what death does to a creature, but let's move on to Spare the Dying. This cantrip has become insane, by the way. First of all, I want to say thank you, Wizards of the Coast, for moving spells to another section. I know you watch my videos. I'm joking, by the way. I have no idea. It would be cool if Crawford watched my videos. Anyways, Spare the Dying. You touch a creature that has the dying condition. The creature regains 1 hit point. This cantrip puts you back on your feet at 1 HP. This gives the cantrip the power of leveled spells. This is insanely strong. You don't use Healing Word or Cure Wounds because you can save someone from going unconscious next round. You use it so they get a turn before then. This does the same thing now. Spare the Dying is almost always better than Cure Wounds at later levels now, as they are both touch spells, take an action, and serve the same purpose. However, Healing Word still has a certain niche over Spare the Dying, as Healing Word is a bonus action and can be used at ranged. But wait! What if druids were just given a familiar that can deliver touch spells within 120 feet of you? Well, now they can! I hate how they're just buffing these cantrips. Stop doing that. Last time it was resistance and guidance, which just became insanely strong. Now it's Spare the Dying. The creature should not be conscious. This should not be as strong as a leveled spell. I'm really disappointed about this. Finally, we get to the resting rules. First, short rests. This one is actually entirely new, and I really like its clarity. If I could give one suggestion, it would be to reshuffle one part of the section. Start the section with a short rest is a 1 hour period of downtime. Continue with benefits of the rest, and then the other parts, and paste the rest of the introduction at the interrupting the rest section as another bullet point that says, any other activity more strenuous than eating, drinking, reading, dozing, and standing watch. But otherwise, this is good. I'm happy. As for long rests, you now interrupt them by rolling initiative instead of combat, and additionally, if you take any damage. The changes don't fix rest casting, which I talked about in my older videos, and you can still at will constant short rest during the long rest by interrupting the long rest. This could be better, but anyways, end of video. I feel like I've been very positive in this video. The only one I really hate is Spare the Dying. I hope the next playtest is the Marshals. I really want to see them. Anyways, thank you for watching. Bye-bye!